Yeah. Y'all watching the Grind Ethiks mixtape show, and I'm your host, Viktory BX Supreme Promoter. Basically, know I'm saying? Basically. Yeah. Thank y'all for watching another episode of the Grind Ethiks mixtape show. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. Anyone that like this episode of Grind Ethics, I'd be very grateful if anyone could like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Basically, I feel good, man. I haven't had a cell phone for almost a fucking year. My niggas is telling me, yo, bro, you're not missing nothing. Because I haven't been on most of social media because my laptop won't let me get on Facebook and none of that, and Instagram and all that shit because it doesn't identify it, whatever. I don't give a fuck. And maybe that's a good thing. Big shouts to my man Ripper. Ripper the entertainer. I just ran into him on the train. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. We were talking too. We had a good conversation. Yeah. Yeah, man. The topic of today's show is music. No music genre ever needed record labels or big major record labels. Okay? No music genre ever needed it in the first place. In the first place. I know some of y'all might be arguing, but victory. Listen, I don't give a fuck about your butts. The only butts I give a fuck about is BBW butts, especially Brazilian butts. Them, brown skin, thick chicks, fat asses, And that's all I give a fuck about. I don't give a fuck about your butts, nigga. Fuck all that slavery dumb shit. Because lately, I'll be looking at the history of calypso music. I just started because some of y'all know that I'm a real music nerd and I like to listen to different types of genres of music. So I was started getting into calypso, But before I started getting into the music part or started listening to music or calypso, whatever, I started getting in. First I started watching the calypso documentaries and getting into the history of calypso music, whatever. And calypso, at one point, calypso was in the mainstream world at one point, but the record labels dropped calypso. And of course, the reason why the big record labels started to sign calypso artists because calypso was getting big. It was already big, right? So record labels they dropped calypso music from their roster or whatever because it was too political. Because that's the whole thing about calypso. Calypso is a lot of calypso artists talk about political stuff, in the in the form of entertainment, and they sound very sarcastic with their way of expressing themselves. You know what I'm saying? So major labels they dropped them, but calypso music went back to the clubs. Well, then again, it never left the clubs, but it went back into the hands of the people, not just Trinidadian people. Oh yeah, fun fact: calypso started in Trinidad and Tobago, and same thing with soca music. Soca music, it came out of calypso music. I'm gonna do a whole episode on calypso music and soca music as a whole in general. But and I'm looking at it like, and then I'm thinking about house music too. House music was also basically in the mainstream world, but they call it EDM back in like 10 years ago to 11, 12 years ago. They call it EDM instead of calling it what it is. Some of it's house music, you know? And that didn't last in the mainstream world, right? I'm like, but house music is still popping. It's still big. House music strictly went back to the but then again, it never left the clubs. It's still in the clubs. It was in the clubs before the major labels started to promote it and sell it, and when the major labels dropped it, it was still in the clubs. People still pumping to house music. Nowadays, you got different types of house music. You got not just the Chicago style of house music. You got South African house music, tribal house music, Brazilian house music. You know, so house music is still big. It's still big, definitely as a culture, and it's mainstream. A lot of people from different age groups listen to house music. Okay, the younger people listen to house music. Oh yeah, also you got liquid house music. I'm really not into liquid house music. It sounds too clean. But anyway, yeah. So, but going back to calypso music, I was doing the knowledge. I'm like, host. I was doing the knowledge about how calypso music became big through different shows, festivals, and carnivals. Because there's carnivals all over the world, or like Caribbean celebration, whatever, all over the world. In America, there's different cities that have different carnivals, right? And then, of course, all over, of course, in certain places in Europe, of course, all over Caribbean, they have carnivals, and also outside carnivals, you got different, in-house simple venue shows that display, calypso music and soca, you know. But and I'm like, hold up, calypso and soca was very big without the record labels. Soca music, calypso music was it. It just it became very big throughout mostly shows, through mostly video. I mean throughout mostly live shows. And plus you have Trinidadian people all over the place, all over the world, in Europe, mostly in England as far as Europe. You got Trinidadian people all over America, especially in New York. You got Trinidadian people in Canada. So these places is where Trinidad, where everywhere Trinidadian people was at. That's where soca and calypso music became big. You even had people who are not Trinidadian. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people who are not Trinidadian listen to calypso and soca. So it just became a big phenomenon without the big record labels. It didn't really need those two genres. Didn't need the big record labels. Not no Sony Records, not no Universal Records, not no Atlantic Records, not no Warner Brother Records to become big. It didn't. If anything, these genres have like maybe people of the culture that started their own small record labels or whatever. If anything, the people who who capitalize over soca and calypso music the most are concert promoters. And then it trickles down to the artists, the venue owners, the bartenders, the promoters, the street promoters, the online promoters who promote these concerts. You know what I mean? Well, then again, yeah, promoters. But yeah, or street teams or whatever, online teams. But yeah, it never needed that shit. It never needed it. Just like jazz music. You look at the history of jazz music, jazz was big without the big labels. The labels signed jazz artists because jazz was already big. Jazz music never needed major record labels. Blues music never needed big record labels. Rock and roll never needed big record labels. Rap music never needed big record labels. It was always the mentality of the artist. The reason why the big corporates signed a bunch of artists from different genres is because first of all, let's keep it real. A lot of these artists was not business minded. If they was, then they wouldn't need no fucking big record labels. And the one and some and I think it was just too much hunger, especially in rap music. When rap first started, a lot of beginning rappers were just too hungry for opportunities. I'm sorry. They was just too hungry for the corporates to take advantage of them. They was just too hungry. Just too hungry. You know? Rap, oh, forget about it. Rap is the biggest rape victim as far as music genres. It's the biggest. Because rappers is too fucking hungry. Too fucking hungry. Because when you show that you're too hungry to motherfuckers who respect nothing but numbers, they're looking at you like food. They're looking at you like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, you're exposing yourself. When you expose too much of your hunger, you're exposing yourself to sharks, wolves, all of that, piranhas, parasites, all of that. And that's what the big record labels are. They're nothing but parasites. They don't respect the culture of any music. They respect nothing but numbers. That's all they respect is numbers. Fuck these motherfuckers. You know? We never needed them in the first place. If we learn how to become business minded and put our heads and put our minds in them books and started studying the business or just if rap music, for example, let's take rap for example, because I'm from the Bronx. Anyway, let's take rap for example, right? Rap would have took longer. Okay, rap became mad big because of the record labels, the major record labels. But rap as a whole, okay, rap would have been bigger a little bit longer. It would have took maybe a longer years for rap music to be bigger, to become a global phenomenon. But so fucking what? It would have been safe in our hands without the major record labels. You know, everything big, and that's another thing. We have too much of a hunger for speed, too much of a hunger for something to be big, man, fast, and that was just wrong with the hip hop community. We wanted to be big too fast. Like for example, I was watching this breakdancer. I was watching an old 1980s video of breakdancers, and this breakdancer, he was like, "Yo, I want to," and this is different from rap, but this is within the lines of hip hop, right? The breakdancer was like, "Yo, I want to be a big breakdancer, so I could go to Hollywood and chill with the Hollywood stars." And I replied back in the comment, even though the video was over 30 years old, I replied back like I was in those days, like I was like I was a grown man back in the 1980s, right? When really I was a little kid in the 1980s. I replied back, I was like, youngster, if you really knew what Hollywood is all about or what goes on in Hollywood, maybe you would reconsider being down with Hollywood, young man. Even though the breakdancer that was in the old video, he's older than me by now. He might be like maybe 10 years older than me. I don't know. Or maybe damn near 20 years older than me. I don't know. So I had to play that Michael J. Fox character, the brown skin Michael J. Fox. I hope the brother's all right, man. I hope he all right. Yeah. It was that hunger, man, and all that comparison ourselves to other people who are stars or people who made it. You know, that build up our hunger to get advantage, to be taken advantage by the corporates. You know, we never needed these motherfuckers. They always needed us. They always needed us. We never needed them. We was already dope. We was already big already. Rap was already big already without the major labels. We could have become bigger just in the strength of being a straight show or concert driven genre. And yes, niggas would have still got jerked by the promoters. And there's big history of rappers getting jerked by major by big promoters and small promoters. But eventually rappers would have got above all that, You know what I'm saying? After a while, major big rappers would be wise enough to start their own concert tours or little venue shows, And I don't want to argue about this. If you don't argue about this in the comment section, no, don't. I'm not gonna waste no time doing that. No argument. Think about it. Go back to the timeline, because I'm a big historical nerd, and history tells me, like Chat GPT, because the mind is the original Chat GPT. Well, actually, yeah, the brain. The brain is the natural Chat GPT. All that the neural networks is the original Chat GPT. So going back to my historical neural networks, it's telling me, yo, listen, man, we never needed the big major labels. We was too hungry for opportunity. It was all fault. It was all fault. As far as the hip hop community and any genre of, and also the musicians that belong to other genres, it was their fault. Why they got taken advantage of, because they didn't know anything about the business, or nobody, or or they didn't try to. You know what I mean? We never needed the motherfuckers in the first place. Overall, there's genres out there right now that's real big right now. Like you look at South African house music, that's real big in South Africa. Real big in South Africa. Ain't no South African house music need no fucking major labels. All they have to do, the DJs / producers, all they have to do is go on tour all over the world, which they have already. Like DJ Black Coffee, he been, playing South African house music throughout the world, and other DJs. Big shout out to Prince KB from South Africa. He's one of the biggest South African house music DJs out there. So it's we never needed them motherfuckers in the first place. Look at the history. Never needed. Look at go-go music. Go-go music became very big in DC and all over the DMV area. Very big. You know what I'm saying? Never needed it. Never needed it. Go-go music never needed the big major labels. Def Jam Records signed a go-go based music band. I forgot the name of their band. Oh, the Junkyard Band. These were kids that they signed. I think they dropped them. They never needed them in the first place. And they traveled through different parts of DC and probably the DMV area and outside of DMV. Go-go never needed them. And some go-go artists are like, yo, go-go needs to be mainstream. It needs to be major. Go-go is major, nigga. Just do a bunch of world, you could do a global go-go, a natural or a national or global go-go music concert tour every year. You don't need the fucking major labels. Fuck the major labels. Fuck them niggas. You don't need, and you definitely, niggas definitely, there's no music genre that definitely don't need to get down with Spotify and these stupid ass motherfucking streaming companies. Fuck these motherfuckers. Spotify is no better than these motherfucking record labels, man. These major record labels. Fuck these motherfuckers. They both in bed with each other. Fuck both of these motherfuckers. We never needed them. And I want to argue about that shit. But what y'all think anyway? What y'all think? Did music, does music in general ever needed the big major labels? Oh yeah, and rock and roll never needed the big major record labels. Eventually, it would have been bigger through doing shows and festivals. Festivals made a lot of artists and a lot of genres big, man. Big. Cats, these genres is really big, man. Through shows, man. Never needed the major labels. We're too hungry, man. It's that thirst for speed, that hunger, and thirst for speed. Don't. That's what fucks us up. That messes us up mentally. Never needed. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm out, man. Anyone that like this episode of Grind Ethics, I'd be very grateful if anyone share, like, and all that good stuff, man. And share this with a record with a artist who's in desperate need of getting signed and being famous. Fuck the fame. The fame is a distraction. Matter of fact, I got an episode on Grind Ethics when I talk about how fame is a distraction. The link is down below if you want to see it. Anyway, I'm out. And remember, peoples, tell a friend to tell a friend that it's all about the motherfucking grind. Basically.